Hello. We are going to get started in just a moment. We've got people coming in, and so we'll just give it about one more minute, and then we'll be with you. Sam, I see you're here. Great to see you. All right. Well, welcome everyone to our Know Before You Go session for the 2024 Advocacy Forum and Capitol Hill Day. We're so excited that you all are going to be joining us this year. It is going to be a activity-filled a few days and with lots of learning and engagement, and we hope that everyone takes away some really valuable information from both the activities that we have planned for you and from your conversations with one another. That is often the most valuable takeaway, is that we all get time together. So welcome everyone to today's preparation. We're glad to have you here. All right, so I would like to go ahead and introduce myself and my colleagues who are going to be joining me today. I am Naomi Lett. I'm the Senior Director of State Policy and Advocacy with United Way Worldwide. And I'll pass it over to my colleague Janessa to introduce herself.
Hey everybody, nice to see you all. My name is Janessa Lowry. I am on our events team here at United Way Worldwide, and we are looking forward to welcoming you all to Alexandria in July.
All right, and then we also have Sam Goldstein with us. I see we've got a couple of names on here. So Sam, hello. We're glad to have you here with us, Sam. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Sam Goodstein. I'm with Venn Strategies. Before coming to Venn, I spent 17 years as a Senate staffer, the last 12 as Senator Whitehouse's chief of staff from Rhode Island. And before that, I was a campaign finance lawyer in San Francisco and Los Angeles. So great to be here. And the most important thing is my mom worked for the United Way of Flint, Michigan for 20 years. So I always need to say that when I'm on these calls.
Yes, you've been fully baked in the United Way bread. We're so glad to have you here with us today.
She likes to point out that United Way still pays her health insurance, so she's very grateful.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started with the agenda. These are some of the things that we're going to go over in today's session. Before you arrive, what to do while you're here, the forum schedule and sessions, some advice and instructions on scheduling meetings, and then resources and reminders. So the goals for the Advocacy Forum are to, the Advocacy Forum and the Partnership Summit, are to help deepen issue knowledge. We really want to help you guys understand what's going on in Congress, what's going on in the priority areas that we'll be working on this year, and things that are most important to you. We want to help you hone your advocacy skills. Some of you are pros and have been doing the work for a long time, and some of you are new in your position or new to the organization. We want to help you hone your skills while you're here. And as I mentioned earlier, really the ability to network with your colleagues from around the country, learn what others are doing, how they have approached situations or topics that maybe you're working on. Hopefully you will have some time and conversation and to be able to speak with one another on the work that you're doing within your organization. You'll also have access to the executive branch partnership and engagement offerings. We really want you guys to be able to walk away with ideas about how you might bring resources to your organization, really looking at policy as a lens for resource development and diversification. So on the Capitol Hill Day, we hope that you're able to build and strengthen relationships with your federal lawmakers. I know some of you have strong existing relationships. Some of you are just starting your engagement. Some of you may not even know who they are. And wherever you land on that spectrum, we are here to help, and the Advocacy Forum is for you. We try to make sure that everyone can learn and grow from the space they're in. And we want to make sure that you are able to engage with your lawmakers to be able to position your United Way as an expert and resource. That really is the key, is becoming a resource for your lawmakers to come to you when they have questions. And we want to make collective asks. Our voice as a network is very powerful. The more of us that there are, the louder our collective voice becomes. So we're really glad to have you all with us and to be doing these things. So those are our goals for all of us while you're here. Before coming to the forum, we want to make sure that you request your Hill meetings. There is guidance on United Way online. And make sure that you, if you are working in coordination with your state association or whoever your state lead might be, it's helpful to work through them. If you're just coming as an organization, but you have other United Ways in your state, sometimes it's great to coordinate and you can talk about what's going on in your community. So Jordan McKinney, who's with United Way Worldwide, you'll see his contact information later. He is going to be sending out a meeting tracker. This is very helpful for us so we can make sure that we're following up. What it does is it tells us which meetings you have scheduled, what the conversations were, and it's very, very helpful for us to be able to shepherd the good work, do any follow-up that's necessary, help support your conversations in any way we can. We really suggest that you prepare and do your homework before you come. If you have local data and stories, that really wins the day, right? You all have a powerful voice as constituents from communities, and the data that you're able to bring to the conversation, both about the work you do, the impact that you've had in your community, and the needs of your community or your impact partners. That is an opportunity for you while you're in conversation with lawmakers. It's also important to do member research, know who you're talking with. And if you haven't met them before, or you haven't had a lot of conversations, knowing what they're working on now, knowing what their background is, some of their values, that's an important piece of building a bridge. And just understanding where your member sits, whether they're on committees that are germane to maybe some of the work you're doing locally, or even the priorities that we'll be talking about today. Those are important things to know. Prepare amplifying messages, as you know, using the tools of media at your disposal to be able to lift up the message. So that could be a blog, a press release, an op-ed, or social media. As we all know, those are all powerful mechanisms for bringing voice and attention to key issues. The toolkits will be available and shared with you prior to the forum with an overview and resources webinar on June 26th. So this is the first of a phase of preparation presentations that we'll be providing for you. Oftentimes we do this while you guys are at the forum, but because we have such a packed schedule this year, we are really working to do this in advance. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Janessa to talk to you about getting to Alexandria and some logistics.
All righty, thanks, Naomi. So before I get kicked off, can everybody pop into the chat? Can you let me know whether or not you've been to the Advocacy Forum before, or to the United Way Worldwide office in Alexandria? I'd love to know that, just so that I don't, you know, go on in too much detail if everybody's always been. Okay, great. So good mix of folks. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so then for those of you who have not booked your travel already, our recommended airport is Ronald Reagan National Airport. The airport code is DCA. DCA is about 3 miles from our office at 701 North Fairfax Street, which is also where MGLC is. So that is our recommended airport. There are also 2 other close by airports, Dulles and BWI. Both will require additional transportation to get you to the office, but they tend to have cheaper flights, to be honest with you. So based on what your focus is, whether it's convenience or dollars, there is an airport nearby to suit your needs. For those of you who are a little bit closer to the DC area, Union Station, there's Amtrak and trains that pop in there. That's an easy way to get in and out of the city. And then there are taxi cabs, Ubers, and Lyfts available from there to get you to either the Sheraton or Worldwide, depending on which track or which destination you're going to. I will note, and this is going to be in a later slide as well, so we will not start programming until 2 o'clock on the 23rd. And so for those of you who are closer by, you may be able to just forego that night, the 22nd to 23rd, and pop in on Tuesday, the 23rd before programming starts. So a little bit of a win if you are closer nearby and have nothing going on Tuesday morning, because again, we won't start registration until 2 and then programming doesn't start until 3. So that's a win. But moving on, our hotel room block is with the Sheraton. The Sheraton Suites in Old Town has offered us a rate of $206 if you book your room before July 2nd. So we definitely encourage you to do that. There will not be breakfast available at the Mary Gates Learning Center before the session. And so we definitely recommend going to the Sheraton. They have, they'll provide breakfast in the morning time. You can come well fed, and then you can walk the couple of blocks over to MGLC before the sessions start those following 2 days. I think that's about it. Hotel AKA is also lovely. That is a new hotel in our area. So if you are unable to get a room at the Sheraton, Hotel AKA is also a great backup that is close by. Naomi, can you go to the next slide?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, so as I mentioned, we will start registration at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, the 23rd. And then that day we'll start sessions around 3 and we'll have a welcome reception that afternoon. And then we'll call it good for the day. So we will get you warmed up with some great conversation that day. And then we'll get you even warmer with some networking and all that good stuff with your peers and colleagues during our reception. You'll also have an opportunity to hear from Angela Williams, President and CEO of United Way Worldwide, and then Rosie Allen Herring, who is the President and CEO of the United Way of the National Capital Area in DC. They will also be there and we'll say a few words to welcome everybody. On Wednesday, the 24th, we will commence with sessions around 8:30. We'll kick off with Angela's warm welcome. And then we will have an early lunch that day before we send you off to the Department of Commerce for the Partnership Summit. And then that again will be the end of the day that day. And then Thursday is your Hill Day. So it is a jam-packed couple of days. We're really excited to get you in the building, get things started. And then if you have any questions about the program in particular, Naomi and Sam will dig into that a little bit more, but please also feel free to pop questions in the chat. I'm happy to answer anything.
Thank you, Janessa. And apologies, the slide says it opens at 2:30 p.m. So as Janessa said, it opens at 2 p.m. So I'm going to dig in a little bit more about our sessions and what we'll be doing, what the schedule is throughout the day. Registration again on Tuesday opens at 2 p.m. You know, we'll have a quick welcome and a couple of sessions that day. So first and foremost, we want to give you guys a chance to connect with one another. And this will be, for those of you who attended last year, there was an opportunity to sit at tables and talk with your peers around specific topics, right? That are part of sort of the everyday work that you all are doing, some of the challenges that you may have, some of the places that you're looking to grow. we welcome any suggestions. So you can either put in the chat or my contact information will be available at the end of the presentation. Would love to hear if there are any topics that you want to make sure that we have a table setting for during this peer-to-peer collaboration session. So feel free to add ideas into the chat, or just email, text, or call me with those things that would be really helpful to you, because we want to make sure that all of the conversations we have lend to the learning and the place that you're in. So we welcome any suggestions or ideas as we build that out. Next, we're going to be talking about navigating partisanship in 2024 and beyond. We have a lot of great expertise within the network and within United Way Worldwide in working through a variety of challenges when it comes to partisanship. And then, as Janessa mentioned, we're going to have the welcome reception at 4:30, and we'll be joined by Angela Williams. She is a big fan of policy and is excited to see you all and be in conversation with you that day. So on Wednesday, registration will open at 8 a.m. We'll do a welcome and United Way Worldwide Policy Priorities and Vision. We'll be joined by Dr. Nicole Cooper for that part of the morning. Our sessions on Wednesday before the Partnership Summit will really focus around policy as a resource development tool. So many of us are looking for ways to impact our communities through policy. That's an important piece, but another lever we can use it for is resource development and diversification. So we'll be hearing from experts in the field on both state policy for revenue diversification and government partnerships. And so leading up to the Partnership Summit, we want to make sure you have some inspiration from the colleagues who have done the work in the field and may bring ideas as you move into hearing more from federal agencies about opportunities that are available. We'll have bus transportation on Thursday to Capitol Hill. And if you haven't been before, you will be you will set your meetings ahead of time, as we mentioned earlier. So you'll be setting them in advance, and then we'll all be riding over together, and everyone will move through their meetings independently. We'll be here to support you if you need, and if you would like someone to assist you with meetings, please reach out to us, because we can certainly make sure that there is someone from the staff who's there to provide guidance when you need. The bus will return to the Sheraton at 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. Some folks opt, if your appointments are later or earlier, you can take an Uber back as well. No, you're not required to ride the bus, but it's there for convenience and transportation for all. All right, so I'm going to move over to our federal priorities for this year. This is an important piece. Many of you might already know. So these are part of the agenda from the United Way Worldwide Policy Priorities. So first we have the HELP Act, which is the Human Services Emergency Logistics Act. This is around 211. It's a bipartisan, bicameral legislation. There is a version of it both on the House side and the Senate side, and it offers the needed investment to build out 211 networks in order to provide additional support for communities and Americans in times of need. So it would bring resource to the national network of 211s. Next is to preserve and protect SNAP during the Farm Bill reauthorization. So those of you who've been paying attention to federal policy know that there's been a lot going on around the budget. There are certain bills that require reauthorization all the time or on a consistent basis. The Farm Bill is one of those, and SNAP is embedded within that. So we want to make sure that food security and the needs of low-income and struggling families is maintained. So it is the nation's largest anti-hunger program. It provides timely, targeted, and temporary support to low-income households. for the purchase of food. So we want to make sure that it's at the very least protected and at the best is strengthened. And so that it can help families combat hunger. Last but not least, we have expansion of the child tax credit. Any of you who have children and have received it at any time know how important it is. It is certainly important for the working families across the country. It was enacted in 1997. I'm sure we have some folks on the call that might not have even been born yet. And has been expanded multiple times with bipartisan support since 2001. It helps families manage the cost of raising children, and has we have done a good bit of storytelling around that in the past. Anything that you're able to offer from your community, if you have VITA sites, this is a great place to do some storytelling. So we encourage you to do so. So now I am going to pass it over to my friend and colleague, Sam Goodstein, to tell us more about scheduling meetings and give us some advice and expertise from his many, many years. Sorry, Sam, I just meant many, not too many.
Yeah, it's okay. At some point, I calculated the number of meetings that I did on the Hill with constituents, and it's well over 3,000. So I don't want to think about that. But before I walk through the slides, the first thing that I want to mention is, I always tell people, your members, your representatives, senators, they work for you. And I think it's important not to forget that. In my experience working with many clients, United Way has by far the most bipartisan brand, really, of any organization that I've ever worked with. So these offices should be responsive, and you should feel free to push them. I mean, these are meetings that they absolutely should take. I'm not saying that I think you'll have to push, but I just always like to tell people that you are their employer, you're their boss. So, I would just keep that in mind. So when you are scheduling these meetings, you want to call, you can call the phone number that's listed on the website. I always recommend asking to speak to the scheduler. Definitely let them know you're a constituent, obviously, and try to get connected to the appropriate staff member, which in this case would be healthcare, social services, what have you. And many of you know these offices. You might even know the individual staff members that you want to reach out to. And if you do, just ask to speak to them directly. I definitely recommend requesting a meeting with a member. In most cases, that probably won't happen. And maybe I'm biased here, but as a former staffer, I would not dismiss the importance of meeting with staff. As you all know, they're often the people that actually move things along and get things done. So on to the next slide. I saw a question in the chat. How far
ahead of time should we reach out to schedule?
Yeah, I think after the holiday coming up, I would start reaching out.
Yeah, so after Memorial Day weekend.
After Memorial Day, yeah, that gives you a good 6-7 weeks. Okay, so a little bit on the meetings themselves, including the who, what, when, where, and why. This is obvious, double checking staff names, customizing the emails. I would keep them brief. I also think it's helpful to include a few sentences about the important work that you are doing in their district/state, just to give it a sort of personal flavor. I mean, I can say, having worked for Senator Whitehouse, Rhode Island is a small state. I mean, it's arguably a city state. So we would meet with almost everybody, but it was still extremely helpful to have a bit of context in the meeting request. or something to sort of tie the request into what is happening on the ground. And then the last point, just saving your email and checking the spam folder.
Yeah, and Sam, I would add to this, in previous years, so I come from a state association. When we would reach out, we would also do research. So if there was something that the member had done that we appreciated, or that we could say thank you, like we really appreciate this work, look forward to chatting with you about it. So we would mention both some work that we had done locally and some things that we appreciated or noticed about our member, so that they knew that we were paying attention. And sometimes that shifted who was in the room. Like, we would love to learn more about it, you know. So I think that's also a helpful note from a person who has made a lot of meetings, scheduled a lot of meetings over the years too.
Definitely. And a lot of you have probably hosted these folks. And if you have, I would flag that in the email as well. Or honestly, any personal connection that you might have with their boss. I wouldn't be shy about that. Just very quickly, if you followed up a couple times and you haven't gotten anything back, you can call the office. Again, these folks work for you. And less is more. I mean, that's always, you know, a helpful maxim for this process. So making it easier for the office to respond, suggesting a time, taking work off their plate. But, you know, we're going to have a very busy schedule. So, you know, it might not, you know, everyone's going to have to be flexible in setting up these meetings. And I'm happy to answer questions via the chat or otherwise, if that's useful.
Does anyone have any more questions about scheduling meetings, or any tips or tricks you want to know about before we move on to our reminders and resources? Okay, I don't see anything in the chat, but again, as you guys move through the process, as you're reaching out, if you have any questions, if you find any roadblocks, you need some guidance, or even just getting started, you just want some extra assistance, you can reach out to anyone on the policy team. We will certainly help you all the way through. For those of you who are new, you know, if this is your first time, we are here for you.
And Naomi, there are a couple of questions that might actually be in your bailiwick that just popped up in the chat.
Okay, let's see. Can we know if others from our state are going? Yes, I saw from Jamie. Yes, what I'll go ahead and do is we do have a list by state, so I will connect folks who are going so that you all know who else from your state is attending, and then you can coordinate meetings, especially if you have overlapping, if you're in overlapping congressional districts. That's very helpful. You don't want to schedule two separate meetings that looks uncoordinated, so you want to make sure that you do that work. So we'll go through and make sure you all are connected with each other and know who's going from what area within your state. And then should we be planning on meeting as individuals or coordinate with others? That depends. I would say, if, as I mentioned, if you are if you share a district with another United Way, it is better for you to go in together. You can talk about the unique attributes of your work in your community and the needs of that community. So I think it's important for you guys to figure out your messaging. If you are, if you're meeting with a senator, then bring everyone, you bring everyone from your state to be able to talk, but making sure that you have a coordinated message ahead of time. And let's say you're talking about VITA, you and all of you work on VITA, you can talk about the impact that you're making in your footprint and maybe figure out across the state what is the collective that you have to share. So I think it's always better if you're willing and able to go in with your colleagues rather than trying to schedule separate meetings. Yeah. So I saw Ashley put in there. Thank you, Ashley. My partner in crime for many years in policy, say that you're a constituent, put it in capital letters. If you put constituent requests in capital letters, they will open your email. Because it's a fly out day. Okay, some are saying that House members, did you see that, Sam, in the chat? That Hillary Evans mentioned that some are saying they can't meet on the 25th because of a fly out day, because it's a fly out day.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be an issue with Thursday meetings. And there's, really not a lot we can do about that. So if we can catch the member before they leave town, which they usually do in the afternoon or evening, that's great. I mean, my only suggestion there is to try to request meetings in the morning.
Yeah, and there's as things go, there's often things that come up. Be prepared. So if this is your first year, you may schedule a meeting and the time may change. They may follow, like, let's say you schedule a meeting next week. They may follow up with you in 2 weeks and say they need to change the time or who you're going to meet with. Anything that has to do with policy is usually somewhat chaotic. So just get in the river and go with the flow and be prepared for things to change.
Yeah, and it's very unusual for members to fly out before Thursday afternoon, evening. And we schedule meetings all the time on Thursdays. So I don't view it as a huge impediment, but if offices are unwilling to do Thursday, we can, you can try to do another day that week.
Yeah. So that was the other question that came from Regina. So it says, should we alternatively ask alternative for Tuesday meetings instead? So if you're in the area, or let's say you're going to get here a day early or plan to be here in the morning and could schedule a meeting then, that's great. Yes. So if there's an alternative date, and oftentimes they'll do that. And even if you have to schedule for 2 weeks out, and you can also meet, with staffers. That's the thing too, is, as Sam mentioned, if there's a person in the office who is going to be there, who's manages the information for the member in that respective area, they are actually probably the people who are going to have the most impact on moving an issue, because they're the information resource for your member. Okay, those are some great questions, you guys. Thank you so much. I don't think did I miss anything? Did anyone see any questions I might have missed? Okay. So, just a few reminders on your to-do list is to schedule meetings with your legislators in coordination with your state leads or your state partners, and then submit the meeting schedule to our United Way folks. And as I mentioned, the public policy team is here to help. You can contact us with any questions, advice, guidance about the Advocacy Forum and Capitol Hill Day. So if there was something we went over today and you didn't quite understand, or you had a question about but didn't put it in the chat, you can reach us via email. I've also added my phone number in case anyone uses a phone anymore, but email also works too. And sorry, I'm going to go back real quick. And then you'll see at the bottom the website for the event. Janessa and the team have done an incredible job of standing that up, making sure there's up-to-date information. You'll see bios for our speakers who are going to be sharing their experience and knowledge on a variety of topics. You'll be able to see the schedule as things are updated. That is a resource for you to use throughout. Last but not least, I will pass it over to my colleague Janessa to tell us what resources are available now and what will be coming soon.
Thanks, Naomi. So I just popped the event website into the chat. Feel free to utilize that for, again, like Naomi said, checking out the agenda. We will get speakers posted there shortly, so stay tuned for more information about who you will see up on that stage during Advocacy Forum. And then we will circulate today's webinar as well as the PowerPoint deck so that you can reference that as you are making your plans to come and see us in Alexandria. But at any rate, it will be great fun, and we're excited to see all of you. Stay tuned for the resource guide that will be coming out shortly. The pre-reads and the leave behinds, we got those to you a little bit tardy last year, so we are hoping to have those at an earlier time for you so that you can brief yourselves and your colleagues before you arrive in Alexandria and DC for our time together. And then you'll be receiving the meeting schedule link to coordinate and Jordan's contact information shortly as well. So stay tuned for all of that.
All right. I just want to say thank you to everyone. Oh, okay. So there's a question in the chat. So some people applied for a stipend. You should get the communication about that by tomorrow. It might be later today, but the communications about stipends are forthcoming. So if you applied for a stipend before the May 10th cutoff, be looking for a communication about that. So information, I'll go ahead and share. As noted in the instructions on the stipend, it will be sent directly to your organization. So once we confirm your attendance at the forum, United Way Worldwide Finance will go ahead and send the stipend directly to your organization. But look for a communication. And again, if there's any follow-up questions about the stipends, once you receive that, you can go ahead and reach out to me. So all of my information is here again, in case you missed it earlier in the slides. And again, this PowerPoint will go out. But thank you all so much for joining us this year in July. We look forward to having you with us. We look forward to bringing our shared voices to the conversation. It's extremely important. Without your voice, a lot of messages don't get heard. So we're glad to have you. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in July.